Today we are discussing what is called materialization. Materialization. Materialization is covered in the end of Leslie Kean's book, and this seems to be the highest thing that the spirit world is doing. So let us discuss this. See, we discussed in terms of M force, force that can move objects or bend spoons or lift tables, okay, or lift the body, or apparition creation. So we call it mind force. And we said that these things can be done by the living and it not be by the dead, by the living. Okay. But this thing called materialization is not being done by the living. Only the spirits seem to be capable of this. And spirits are in a position to do it with the help of physical medium. With the help of physical medium. Okay. Physical medium is doing what the trance and mental medium are doing, plus physical things like this. So the greatest miracles in terms of afterlife are being done through physical medium. And great physical mediums have been there historically, but even now there are some great physical mediums. And one such person who is a great physical medium is Stewart Alexander. Stewart Alexander. Here I would like to say, we are doing three things: moksha, afterlife, and science. Under science we are taking Damasio as the greatest scientist who is contributing to this understanding of moksha. So Damasio represents the scientific stream. Who is the best specimen of enlightenment? I would say Eckhart Tolle, a representation of enlightenment, Eckhart Tolle. In the same league as Eckhart Tolle and Damasio, I am inclined to place Stewart Alexander as a physical medium. So, moksha, afterlife, and science. These are the three things we are covering. Okay. Because Stewart Alexander represents many of the miracles that were being done over centuries. And more interestingly, Stewart Alexander was not born with any skill, with any ability. He just developed them over a period of time, sitting with a group of friends for many years without seeing any impact. So, very rare and a great person. Okay. But let us discuss what is covered under materialization. What processes are covered under materialization? Under materialization, it appears some new ways of looking the material are being demonstrated. For example, see, here are two pens. Can this pen go through another pen? It is not possible. But then spirits are doing that. Matter through matter. It's called matter through matter. Nobody is able to do that. And next, matter through living matter. See, can pen pass through the hand? No. So, matter through living matter, or non-living to non-living matter through living matter, non-living matter through non-living matter, non-living matter through living matter, hand passing through, pen passing through the hand. Okay, next, creation of pen itself, materializing the material matter or materializing the non-living matter, which are called apports. Okay. Apports may be done by magic, but we are not talking about magic. We are talking about the actual production under controlled conditions. Satya Sai Baba did certain things like this, produced, but they were not done under controlled conditions. Most probably that was magic. But this is one phenomenon. And next, more surprisingly, production of living matter. For example, materialization of hands. Hand like this. When you shake hands, it will be like a living hand with fingers, muscles, everything. Okay. And if this is not surprise enough, there is one more, which is called full form materialization. Full form materialization, which means the entire body of the dead coming and walking up and shaking hands. People who have seen it think it is completely unbelievable. But many have seen it, historically and currently. Scientists are involved, and there is one Nobel Prize winner in medicine and physiology, Charles Richet. He got Nobel Prize in 1913. And he saw this full form materialization under physical mediumship of Franek Kluski, 1873 to 1943. And he said, this is surely the climax of all marvels. Nevertheless, it is a fact. So a Nobel Prize winner in medicine and physiology is saying this is true. And he was not the only one who saw it. So many others. Okay. But how these things are being done, there is simply no clue. There is just no clue. Unlike the macro PK that we discussed, this is even difficult to imagine. What is going on? We have no clue. In that case of lifting tables or bending spoons, we think in terms of, okay, some force like this doing things. But how are these things done? And more importantly, see, if pen is going through a pen, it is not just, it is able to go, but it also that, what does it mean regarding the nature of the material? That is an issue. If the pen is going through the hand, it means it raises the questions regarding what is the nature of hand. And hand can be created. What does it mean? Okay, but let me tell you, some of these actions are permanent and some are impermanent. This, it moves. This, and apports, some apports are permanent. Historically, apports like gold rings, diamonds, emeralds, all kinds of stones are created. This Professor Stanley Krippner did specialization on aborts, and the medium who was creating that was Amir Almaden from Brazil. So some aborts are permanent, which are stored in some museums of universities, and some are permanent, some are impermanent. They appear and disappear. And Krippner thinks that some of them are created, whereas some of them are teleported, that is transported from one place to another place. So if an emerald is simply dropping from nowhere, it may have been transported. Stones dropping may have been transported or may have been created somewhere. So how the spirit world is doing this? No clue. Including the medium who is doing it. He just says it is the will of the spirits. So this one. Next, hand materialization. Also being done historically, and plaster casts of hands that are materialized in a seance are well preserved now. Hands were real, but they would disappear soon. They would disappear soon. So hands come into existence, hands alone, not the full form, and disappear. And full form materialization, where a spirit comes into a body form, that also works for some time and then disappears. We have video, casts of plaster casts of hands, but we don't have any casts of full form materializations, nor we have photos. Okay. But all these things are very clearly recorded. But full form materialization is only witnessed and described. There was no photography, no videotaping. Okay. Anyway, coming to the author Leslie Kean, she saw under physical mediumship of Alexander all these things. So what she has been studying from previous accounts, Leslie Kean herself watched. Okay, so this is something that only spirits are doing, and we have no clue to the process. See, the maximum that we know, that is studied in quantum mechanics, is that there is a barrier and electron here can cross. This is what is called quantum tunneling. That much physicists know. But then spirits are doing all kinds of things. Hands move. Okay, so we will look at what is going on now with Stuart Alexander, as reported by Leslie King. So physical mediums are producing many dramatic things that we discussed under materialization. Materialization is something that the living cannot do as of now. Only the spirits are doing it. But some people argue that maybe the living also can do them much later date. Like in conjuring up Philip, the living produced what were supposed to be the effects of the spirits. So that is one issue. So that is to say, materialization in itself may not offer the proof that life survives. Materialization itself may be some result of or a higher kind of psychokinesis. So leaving that apart, in terms of evidence for survival after death, physical mediumship provides much more graphic evidence. I'll tell you how physical mediumship operates. First of all, under physical medium, many spirits can come simultaneously. Okay. And to Alexander Stewart, 5 spirits are coming. One by name White Feather. Second, Christopher. And third, Walter Stinson. And 4, Freda Johnson. And 5, Dr. Barnett. It is like friends come to seance with Alexander. So many spirits simultaneously. And another thing is, they are speaking directly. They are speaking directly. See, in a mental mediumship like Laura gets information from them and Laura speaks. She is normal self, except that her mind is opened to others. In trance mediumship, a person goes into trance and speaks, one voice at a time. Or it can be some multiple voices, but through the medium's voice. But in this so-called physical mediumship, spirits come out, and spirits can go to different people in a seance room. They are called sitters, and they can speak directly, which means a spirit is there, okay, and a sitter person, and direct communication. And to facilitate this communication, to make it more audible, Alexander created something like a trumpet. So two trumpets are placed on a table. Alexander sits in front of the table. Trumpets are placed here. And a spirit takes the trumpet and goes. First of all, trumpet moves like this, like that, touching people, and then speaks. So spirit speaking to the sitter directly through the trumpet. Where the medium is in a complete trance state. He doesn't know, or he has some clue to what's going on. There are cases where in certain mediums, physical things are used to pinch, cut, do all kinds of things, and mediums did not get up. So it is a deep trance state. So they say, I think it was Walter who explained that for good results they want 80% of the body. 80% of the body to be occupied by the spirits. It can't be 100% because if it is 100%, person won't be alive. So basically, spirits are taking the mind of the person and using the body. And here, how they use the body. There is one substance which is photographed, videotaped, lot discussed, is what is called ectoplasm. Spirits seem to be making use of something called ectoplasm, which is being generated from the physical medium, usually from the mouth. So we don't know exactly what is the chemical nature of it, but it is some kind of a substance plus energy, all kinds of things. So that spirits say that is what they are using to manifest themselves in variety of ways. So in certain ways, not that in every case they are using that. So ectoplasm. So where are we? Spirits come and using the trumpets they speak directly to the sitters. And definitely when the sitter thinks that he is hearing something about the dead, which only he knows and the medium cannot know, then it is a confirmation that the dead are speaking. In fact, Alexander too, like Lara we discussed, is not sure whether he is corresponding with the dead, whether the dead are really what they claim to be. Stewart was not convinced. Alexander was not convinced. But in a seance he himself attended when a physical medium by name Leslie Flint in 70s. So when Alexander attended Flint's seance, and there he talked to his grandma. He was shocked. The kind of conversation, the content, he was very sure it could only be a grandma who died only a few days ago. So that was how Stewart Alexander came to the conviction that it's really the dead who are speaking. And and another thing was, one more thing that Stewart was convinced that the dead were working through him was that in the first spirit that came to Stewart Alexander was White Feather. He says that they were sitting and they were about to close the sitting, and then he heard a voice, switch off the light, switch off the light. Then they switched off the light. So that was first time that White Feather came. And Stewart noticed that whenever White Feather occupies him, his left hand is becoming somewhat unused, like hanging. And Stewart didn't know why it was so. When he was in seance with Leslie Flint, White Feather came to Stewart, and Stewart asked one question. See, are you handicapped when you are alive? Then White Feather answered, do you mean my left hand? It was then Stewart was convinced, yes, this White Feather is what he claims to be. So all this shows that mediums do not really have a superior understanding of afterlife. They are not even sure that it is the dead who are talking to them. They are getting certain through the process that we ourselves use, that is through verification. Otherwise there is no way. So this is how it is. And in cases of certain physical mediums, spirits communicated directly, even in the languages that medium never knew. One such case was Indridasan, who died in 1912 at the age of 28 years. She is again supposed to be one of the rarest physical mediums. So in her seance, spirits would speak directly and in multiple languages which the sitters know and the spirits know, but the medium won't be knowing. So that is what is meant by direct communication. So physical mediumship offers much more direct, much more clear proof of the existence of the dead. Now, coming to other effects. These are the things that Leslie Kean discusses. In seances he attended in 2015 with Stewart Alexander. She gives pictures of the sitting positions and how all these things happen in as much graphic manner as possible. Let us look at some of the things she described. It says in the first place, Stewart Alexander sits on a chair, okay, and His hands are tied. His hands are tied with plastic cables. Hands are tied with the plastic cables like this. Okay. And Walter asked the author that take the hand and lift. And she was able to lift, which means the hand passed through the cable. The cable attached to the hand of the chair. Hand of the chair. So lift, though it is tight. So hand through cable, that is one. Okay. And next, Keene was asked, so the cable is here. The Keene was asked, now take out the cable. And cable moved, came out, though it was tied to the handle, which means matter through the matter. So, cable simply coming out of the hand of the chair. That was two. And then she saw trumpets. These are 18-inch cones floating around and talking. And so many people saying that it is true. These are the dead whom we know. It is to talk to them only we came. And then apports also she saw in this. The apports that she saw are reported are not emerald or diamond or things like that, but plastic animal toys. We don't know how they are created. Apports. And next miracle is hand materialization. Leslie Keene explains how this thing took place. So she gave drawings of how this materialization took place. It says on a table, first something like ectoplasm comes in a form like this. And then it slowly expands, and finally it becomes a hand. And then it becomes full-fledged hand. And with that, the author shook hands. It means the author shook hands that lived 100 years ago, that were the hands of the spirit by name Walter, who died in 1911 and who was a brother of one famous medium of that time, Margery Crandon. Margery Crandon, 1888 to 1940. So Walter created hand with which the author shook hands. And then full form materialization is also witnessed, but that was done by Dr. Barnett. Dr. Barnett could give full form materialization, and plus also he heals. And he helped in miraculous recovery from, in one case, cardiomyopathy. So he was good at healing. Author reports one case of healing and then full form materialization. So these are the miracles that the author herself saw, experienced. And now she says she is in touch with Alexander, and they meet regularly, but through computer. She sits in US and the seance takes place in England, but she gets to know what is going on. So these are the things that are reported. I think this raises the question, not simply about survival after death. Survival after death can be proved in variety of ways, but this also raises the question regarding what is the nature of matter, what is the nature of living matter, what is the nature of non-living matter, and there is a lot that physics needs to include. Thank you.